Hello, hello, beautiful souls. Welcome back to my channel. If you are brand new here, welcome. I'm Bonnie, Old Soul Mermaid. Today we will be unboxing the Oracle Dior based on the noirs of Odilon Redon. Redon felt that black was an agent of the mind. In this beautifully curated deck, by Melissa Wotherspoon and Tora, the user is asked to take a deep dive into the subconscious realms many of us choose to ignore or suppress. The creators have added little gold accents and details to offer optimism and light. The creators hope that the Oracle Dior becomes a companion on the user's journey. As you can see, this is a beautifully crafted deck with so many beautiful details. The deck size is standard oracle size, as you can see here. Now, before we go to a musical flip through, I want to let you know that the gold titles on the card can sometimes be difficult to see on camera, though not in person. So when that's the case, I have labeled the card when showing it in my musical flip through. Okay, let's turn this beautiful deck over. enjoyed that musical unboxing and flip through of the Oracle d'Or by Melissa Wotherspoon and Tora Matthews. Now, I have to tell you, flipping through this deck for the first time, I was just amazed by how stunning this artwork is. And we know that the Lonely Dreamer Tarot is so beautiful, but having the artwork on this size oracle, oracle size, pretty standard oracle size card just brings out this artwork. It really, really does. There's some gold foil in the cards and in the titles, and it is really, really something special. Of course, being noir, based on the artist's noir artwork, these are black and white images, but I think it's a great foil to the Lonely Dreamer, which is, of course, very, very colorful and full of life. Now, this is a very mixed deck as far as the keywords. Now, some of the keywords you're going to be able to read and use without the book. They're very intuitive, and depending on the reading you're doing, you could pull a card like this, like Conquest, and pretty much be able to use it without having to pull out the book. But something like Constellations, unless you already have a personal meaning, in your arsenal for that term, and for constellations when it comes out in a reading or a spread, you'll have to look at the book. A word like constriction you'll be able to use, I think, without using at the book. Of course, I always read the books, and I try to see where the creator's mind is at when picking these images. Now, the deep is a term you could use very, very intuitively, and then we all know what doubt is. So I think this is a great deck that has a great mix of literal keywords and terms, and those that you can run with and use intuitively. Now, there are only 48 cards in this deck, but I think that's about, that's just enough. Personally, I like it when it's more in at least 52 cards, but over 42. When it's less than 42, it's kind of like, well, okay, let's see what the deck is priced at. But I mean, this feels like a good substantial deck. Now, this cardstock is so buttery. It's 350 GSM art paper with gold foil details and a rose petal finish. And that's what I'm getting from Melissa's Etsy shop right now, where this deck is available right now for $55 and $12 shipping, and I believe she's in Canada. There has only been 700 copies printed of this limited edition. Now, we do know with the original Lonely Dreamer tarot deck that she put out that there was a first edition, and you can't get that anymore. She has since come out with a second edition with changes to the cards, the box, the back, that you still can get. And I have both decks, and there are things that I like about one versus the other, and I knew that would be the case, so that's why I got both. Because the deck is a favorite of mine, and it's one of those decks that I use when I want to read intuitively, and I think that the Lonely Dreamer Tarot is wonderful. And generally art decks, in general, when they have this surreal quality to them, they're decks that I use intuitively for intuitive readings, just like my much beloved Los Scarabeo, the Surrealist Tarot. I use that deck in that way as well. And we're going to take a look at the little gold book, as it is called, in just a second. But I will let you know that I'm just looking on her Etsy shop, and there is a larger companion book that, with full color pages that's meant to go
with this deck, and you can pre-order it now, and it is $35 with you know, the $12 shipping. And I'm considering getting that because this deck is deep. It is really deep. If you've been on my channel long enough, you know that I'm very picky with my oracles. I don't have as many oracles as I do tarot decks because yeah, I'm very picky, and largely what I use is tarot. But there have been a few oracle decks that I've amassed in my library that are favorites. One of them is the Roots and Wings, which is very simplistic, and I use it all the time. I don't care whether it matches the aesthetic of a tarot deck that I'm using at the time. I can just pull it out, and I find that it works with anything. It's very simple. Another one that it gets heavy use and is kind of a workhorse for me, which reminds me a lot of this deck. They're different, but I think they have a similar energy, and that is the Oracle of Echoes by Anna Turian. Now, this is the second edition, and I also have the first edition. Now, you can see the artwork is very different, but it does in some way have a similar energy to it. And I'm going mostly, and I'm not going really by aesthetic, I'm going by feeling. As you can see, the Oracle of Echoes has a bit more, you know, color in it, but it's not, you know, vibrant color. And it just strikes a similar feel to me with the Oracle Dior. Let me know in the comments below if you're getting a similar feeling. I don't really think they'll compete with one another because I have, you know, a certain dialogue that I have with my Oracle of Echoes, and there are certain things that I pull it out for specifically, but I also find that it works, you know, with any deck in any situation. And I think I'm gonna have a similar experience with this. Everything I love about an Oracle deck, I feel I'm getting in this deck. But of course, the proof is in the pudding. I'll have to work with it. I think I'll start working with it with my Lonely Dreamer Tarot because, of course, you know, the Lonely Dreamer Tarot hasn't been easy to match, you know, some Oracle decks with it. If you want to, you know, match aesthetically, topically, if that makes sense. But then I will expand and see what other decks in my library that this Oracle deck will work with. And, you know, I get a feeling that it's going to work with practically everything, with every tarot deck that I have. I think it's beautiful. I think it's stunning. I think that the creators really knocked it out of the park. But you know what? Let's take a look at the book. Now, this is the little gold book. And right off the bat, we have a meditation to bring in the light. And this is inspired by the meditations of Deidre Haddad. Now, the story for the deck. The name Oracle Dior has two references: the French word for gold and the initials of Odilon Redon himself. It is a Jungian shadow work deck to a degree, urging us to bring our subconscious to light, those dark aspects of ourselves that shape our thoughts, emotions, and behaviors, often without our direct awareness, that we typically see and project onto others. But it is balanced with light and will hopefully bring comfort as well as lessons. We do have some spreads in the deck. There are two suggested spreads here, and it looks like there's going to be even more spreads in the new companion book, which is called Unearthing Redon's Gold. And that is due to be out in September, I believe. So you have a side-by-side two-card spread, Noir and Or, and a transmutation spread, a 5-card spread. And then it just goes straight into the cards and to the meanings. And it looks like you get a picture, some keywords, you get a shadow side, and then it goes into the card itself. And that's it. It just goes with the cards. I don't think there's anything even about the creators at all. So it's very succinct. So you do get black and white pictures, and that fits because the deck itself is pretty much black and white with pops of gold in it. So, you know, you're not really losing anything with not having, you know, colored pictures because the cards aren't really that heavily colored. Now, why don't we take these cards and give them a shuffle, pull one, and we'll see what the book says, just so we can take a look at the writing. Now, because this deck isn't very thick, I'm able to shuffle it fairly easily with my small hands. I'm not a riffle shuffler, but for those of you who have small hands, you know, it might be oracle decks, it's probably hard to riffle shuffle them. So I do all my shuffling this way and some overhand. So I just find it's easier for me. All right, so let's pick from the middle of the deck. Doubt. Now, again, this is a card that, you know, if you pulled it in your spread, you could read it how you feel it intuitively, because we all know what doubt is. And let's see if the writing in the book will give us a little bit more. All right, so for doubt, it says leap of faith, allowing faith to restore a sense of purpose. Okay, so the shadow says letting doubt plague the mind, loss of confidence in one's convictions, loss of faith, isolation, nihilism, over-rationalization, overthinking. When this card arises, you may feel that your beliefs and convictions are being challenged, causing a period of indecision and frustration. Faith enables us to believe in something greater than ourselves and to take a positive outlook on life. Without faith, doubt creeps in and creates feelings of isolation and despair. If you are in a period of doubt, you could be overthinking aspects of your life. Don't compare your situations to others. If you have a shadow of a doubt in your life, it may be wise to follow the heart and take a blind leap of faith into the light. Sometimes this is the only way to break the chains of doubt that pollute the mind. Allow faith to replenish and restore your sense of purpose and well-being. Okay, so the first part of this, I think the main meaning of the card is the shadow side, because this is primarily meant to be a shadow deck. So this first part of it is probably the converse, reverse, as it opens with a leap of faith, allowing faith to restore a sense of purpose. But then, you know, the card, what's written for the card is more of the shadow meaning and pretty much what we all know doubt to mean. Okay, I'm curious. I want to pull another card that isn't so clear, cut, and dry. Let's see what we pull up. See if we get one of those more obscure cards, and we can take a look at that. It's nice that this deck has a mix. Those cards where it doesn't all hand it to you, some that, you know, may not be so obvious and run of the mill. All right, so I can barely get my hands, you know, around to overhand, but that's typical for oracle cards. I can do it a little bit. This cardstock feels luscious. Okay, so we have noir. So this is a good one. Okay. All right, noir, connecting to the unconscious. So the shadow meaning is lacking a feeling of home or self-hopelessness, a lack of identity, emotional dilution, or depletion, the dark night. So the writing for this card says, if this card appears in a reading, it is possible that you are feeling empty or emotionally depleted. In alchemy, the prima materia, first matter, goes through a blackening process before it emerges as gold. As in alchemy, it may be necessary to face your suffering, allow yourself to sink into your darker thoughts in order to emerge stronger on the other side. Permit yourself to exercise your unconscious through establishing a regular routine of free sketching. Do not judge or censor your work. Merely create and let your unconscious mind express itself free of ego. Maybe the numerous black suns Redon created helped him process the horrors of war. He emerged on the other side, never creating another noir again after 1900. Okay, this is really, really interesting, and I love that it brings in alchemy. And the fact that it has the tidbit about the artist not creating another black and white or noir piece of artwork again after 1900. So he was able to work through his experiences with war, and he never had to create a dark shadow painting again. And I think that is so interesting. And this little book is making me think that I really do need to check out that companion book. And you know what? Let's pull that up. Let's pull up the Etsy listing for that. Okay, so I pulled up the Etsy listing, and just so we can scroll through and see what you get in the companion book for $35. And of course, you're going to have to pay the shipping on top of that, but it looks like you get a lot more content. And look at all this. This is showing everything you get for the heart card. Yeah, I think I'm going to pre-order this. And again, I think it's coming out in September. I don't know how many copies she's going to be printing of this. But let's see, learn more about this. It's a 6x9 book in full color with approximately 200 plus pages. She says, rather than haphazardly hang keywords and modern day meanings upon Redon's charcoals and prints, Oracle Dior explores Redon's work within the context of time in which it was created in mind of the people who both inspired and partook of Redon's creative vision, including Flaubert, Shakespeare, Pascal, Goethe, and others. It's going to be, a limited edition book. And it's going to ship from China. I think, yes, I want more, because I think this deck is so deep and so nuanced that I think you can get more with this extra companion book. Do you need it? No, there's enough in the little gold book that comes with the deck that gives you enough information that you can take off running. But I think I'm going to need to get this, because I am a fan of the tarot deck, and I'm just really, really getting a good feeling about this oracle deck. I don't know if it's going to be predominantly a shadow deck for me, but I have a feeling that it might be. I don't know. We'll have to see. Let me know what you're feeling in the comments below. Is this something you'd be interested in? And what are you feeling about seeing the deck for the first time? So let's just see how the cards look together with these two companion decks. I have the second edition Lonely Dreamer here. And these are the beautiful backs. I can't decide which backs I like between, the first and second edition. I think they are both beautiful. Wow. This deck is so pretty. Look at that. How well they fit. You could also, if you wanted to, you could start with the oracle cards and bring a tarot card into it. And bam. This is really exciting, you guys. I love this tarot deck. I love the Lonely Dreamer Tarot, and now to have a deck that does go so perfectly in tone and just cohesiveness. I'm chomping at the bit to work with this combination. Please leave in the comments below, what do you think? Do you have the Lonely Dreamer? And did you hold off on the Oracle deck because you wanted to see it? Again, there's only 700 copies. It is available now on Melissa's shop. And, I don't know if this kind of deck, the Oracle deck, is going to be everybody's cup of tea. Certainly the Lonely Dreamer is not. A lot of people don't like these obscure art decks, that are made to fit into the tarot card meanings, but I do if it is done well, and I think it is done well with the Lonely Dreamer Tarot. And I just think, oh wow, the Oracle deck is just a wonderful addition to take the readings of the Lonely Dreamer to the next level, because they are so cohesive. But let me know what you're thinking in the comments below. Okay, that's it. I believe I've taken enough of your precious time. I really, really hope I've answered your questions that you may have regarding this deck as far as production quality. One thing I may have forgotten to mention, that the box is rose petal smooth. It is the same material, and it feels exactly like the Lonely Dreamer, both editions of the Lonely Dreamer tarot boxes. It's the exact same magnetic closure. And I believe I mentioned cardstock. You were able to see the images and some of my just very, very first impressions. This is just me opening it, first time seeing it. I have not yet worked with it. So, maybe some insights on working with these two decks together, the Lonely Dreamer Tarot and the Oracle d'Or, will be forthcoming after I've had time to work with both together. So if you found this video helpful in any way, please consider hitting a like, subscribe, leaving a comment below, hitting that notification bell for when I come out with another video. And with that, I want to thank you for spending your valuable time with me, and I will let you get on with your beautiful day. Bye for now.